Hi everybody, today we are going to work on integer exponents. This is lesson 4 and I have this is lesson 4a and then I have 4b, different parts. Okay, let's do integer exponents. Just like multiplication is really repeated addition, exponents are really just repeated multiplication. Okay, you see, just like multiplication is repeatedly addition, like we add, like for example 2 times 2, that's what it means. Just like multiplication is really repeated addition, like I have 2 times 6, then it's gonna give me 12. But if you add 2 several times, it's going to give me 12 too. So that's what it means. Then exponents are really just repeated multiplication. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4, and 2 to the power 2, same thing. So multiplication, repeated addition, exponents, repeated multiplication. So look at the examples. 4 times 3 is going to give me 12, right? We know that. Then 4 plus 4 plus 4 is also going to give me 12. So the same thing. 4 to the power 3 and 4 times 4 times 4, they are exactly the same. Okay. So 4 times 3 means you add 3 4s together. 4 to the power 3 means you multiply 3 4s together. Okay. So exponent goes with multiplication. Now, the base tells you what number you are multiplying, and the exponent tells you how many times to multiply. Exponent, how many times to multiply. Base is the number you multiply. For example, this 3, that's a base, right? This 5 is exponent. This means you should multiply, 3 5 times. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 5. The value of a power can be found by solving the repeated multiplication problem, and the value of 3 to the power 5 is 243. When you multiply 3 5 times, you are getting 243. So you read this as 3 raised to the 5th power. Okay, 3 raised to the 5th power or 3 to the power 5, it's the same thing. Okay, let's do, they said write the repeated multiplication problem for each power, then find the value of the power. So we have to write them as a repeated multiplication. Read the question carefully, this is very important. Then find the value of the power. So you have to read it very careful. What does it mean? If you pay attention, they're asking 2 things. You repeat multiplication and then find the value of the power, like exactly the way we did up here. You see that? That's the answer, and that's repeated multiplication. So 2 to the power 6. What is that supposed to mean? 2 to the power 6. I'm multiplying 2 6 times. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 4, 5. That's 6. And what is the answer for this? 64. I'm using a calculator, and that's how you're supposed to do it. This is 5 is multiplying 3 times. 5 times 5 times 5. It's going to give me 125. 4 is multiplying 4 times. 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. And it's going to give me 256. 7 to the power 2 is going to give me 49. Right? I'm multiplying 7 times 7 twice. 10 to the power 4, or 10 raised to the 4th power, like the way they are talking about, So I'm multiplying 10 4 times, 10 times, 10 times, 10 times 10. You multiply, it's going to give me 10,000. 8 raised to the 1 power, it means it's just 8. 6 to the power 3, 6 is multiplying 3 times, and it's going to give me 216. 3 to the power 4 is going to give me 81. So that's what multiplication is. Exponents are. Make sure the exponent means repeated multiplication. Okay, let's talk about negative. And this is the most important one in exponents, the negative basis, okay? The base of power is not always a positive number. The important thing to remember here is that unless there are parentheses around the base, exponent only applies to the one thing immediately before the exponent. Immediately before the exponent. Okay, no parentheses, first thing, no parentheses. So this is important. I already said this is important, that if you have parentheses, and then you make sure that you pay attention, okay? So let's try no parentheses. Example is this, negative 4 to the power 2. 4 to the power 2. In this problem, the exponent 2 only applies to the 4, the base, right? Not the negative sign. And you can tell that, you can see it. This 2 is only applies on this 4, if you can see this, right? Negative doesn't have this 2. Otherwise, there should be a parentheses or something. Okay, so since the base is just 4, the repeated multiplication for this problem would be negative. We're going to keep it, and 4 times 4, right? Find you work the exponent first, then add on a negative. Like I'm leaving it alone. I multiplied 4 twice, and I'm leaving this outside. Okay, now let's look at this. This is 5 only applies on 2, not on negative. So I'm keeping negative outside. I'm going to make a parenthesis, so I know this is outside. And then I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, close the parentheses, right? So it's going to give me negative 32. This one, 4 applies on only 3. So negative stays in 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is going to give me negative 81. This negative stays. Let's try that one. Let's use a different color. This 2 applies only on 5, right? So negative stays. 5 times 5 is going to give me negative 25. That one, 3 only applies on 7. Negative stays. 7 times 7 times 7 is going to give me negative 343. Okay. Everything was without the parentheses. Now let's see with the parentheses, okay? With the parentheses, example is if I have a parentheses, now pay attention closely. Do you see these are parentheses, right? And this is exponent 2. Don't you think the 2 exponent applies on the parentheses? So if 2 applies on parentheses, then you know that whatever is inside the parentheses, that 2 applies on it. Like a distributive property, for example. Like if I have a 2 and I'm multiplying negative 4 with it, you know this 2 multiplies with, like positive multiplies with negative and 2 multiplies with 4. So anything inside is going to multiply with all of this. So 2 is on top of parentheses, so applies on negative and 4 both. In this problem, the exponent applies to everything in parentheses. Okay, since the base is negative 4, right? You know this is the base. The whole thing is the base. Like the inside the parentheses, whatever we have, this whole thing, like negative and 4 both is the base of 2. The repeated multiplication for this problem would be negative 4 times negative 4. You work the repeated multiplication. Using a negative number as the base. Find the value of each power. Now, let's start. This 5 applies on parentheses, okay? So which means on both of these things. So I have negative 2, right? Parentheses times negative 2 parentheses times negative 2 parentheses times negative 2 parentheses and then negative 2 parentheses times. When I multiply all of these, including my negative number, since it's odd, this exponent is odd number, like negative times negative is positive. Positive times negative, negative. Negative times positive, negative. Negative times, did I say this right? I don't think so. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times negative is positive. Positive times negative is negative. And the easiest way to remember, if you have odd exponents, like 5 is odd, then your answer has to be negative anyway, right? So it's negative 32. This one, I know that 4 applies on the parentheses. So I have negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Now pay attention, the exponent is even. This 4 is even. If it's even, I'm supposed to have a positive answer. Now multiply 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, it's going to give me 81. I mean, this is a quick, easier way, odd and even thing. Okay, let's try this. 2 applies on the parentheses. So negative 5 times negative 5. It's even, 2 is even. So my answer is positive. And I know that negative times negative is positive. That one was kind of quick and easy. So there you go. Now I have negative 7 to the power 3. Again, this is applied on parentheses. So negative 7 times negative 7 times negative 7. You know 3 is odd number. My answer has to be negative. Multiply 7 3 times. You are getting 343. Okay. Now, let's see this. They said compare your answers without parentheses to your answers with parentheses. What is the same? What is different? And then we have to answer that. Okay, compare your answers without parentheses and the parentheses. Now, if you guys look at it, the number part is always the same. The number part is always the same. Is always the same. The sign is sometimes the same and sometimes different and sometimes different. Right? Write a rule for when no parentheses and with parentheses will have the same answer and when they will have different answers. Okay, this is what I just explained to you guys. Okay, this is just what I explained, odd and even thing. Okay, so if the exponent is odd, a power with a negative base, will have a negative value, will have a negative value. If the exponent is even, if the exponent is even, if the exponent is even, a power with a negative base, power with a negative base will have a positive value. Now, this is what I was just explaining to you guys. If the exponent is odd, okay, if the exponent, this is exponent is odd, a power with a negative base will have a negative value, okay, so it's going to have a negative value. If the exponent is even, if the exponent is even, a power with a negative base will have a positive value. So that's exactly what it is. This is odd, 5, and my answer is negative, since the base is negative. If there is positive, you know it doesn't change, it's gonna stay as it is. Okay, let's do these problems. Now, let me see. Let's use a different color. I'm gonna use this one. Okay, let's try. -8, parentheses close, oh, the parentheses open, parentheses close, -8 to the power 3. You know 3 is on top of parentheses. So -8 times -8 times -8 is going to give me negative, and it's an odd number. 3 is odd. So the answer is supposed to be negative and 512. There. Okay, now you can see 4 is applying on only 4. 4 is only on the top of 4, but not on negative. So this negative stays outside. This negative stays outside. And parentheses. And I'm going to multiply 4 times. My answer is negative 256. Okay, this one. Negative, this 3 applies on parentheses, which means -4 times -4 times -4. When exponent is on the parentheses, and it means you are multiplying -3 times, and you're going to multiply 4 3 times. The same thing goes here. 3 is on parentheses, so I'm multiplying, which means it goes on negative and 8 both. So I multiplied -3 times, and I multiplied 8 3 times. It's going to give me, and it's odd number, so the answer is negative, and you multiply, it's going to be 64. Okay, 4 is applying on 2. I know it's positive, doesn't change anything, so 4 times 4 is going to give me 16. This one, 2 applies on parentheses. So it's going to give me -4 times -4, which means the negative is multiplying twice, 4 is multiplying twice, because this 2 is on top of parentheses, and whatever inside the parentheses, this 2 applies on it. And it's even number, so the answer is positive, and it's 16. Let's try this. The 2 applies on 8, not on negative. Negative stays, and 8 times 8 is going to give me -64. This one, let's try. I'm going to use something different. -3, this 3 applies on top of the parentheses, which means negative also multiplying 3 times, and 3 is also multiplying 3 times. So -3 times -3 times -3 is going to give me, and since this 3 is odd, then my answer is supposed to be negative, and you multiply 3 times, it's going to give me 27. Now this is my 4 applies on parentheses, which means the negative. You can also, if you don't put the parentheses, I would say okay, but look how I'm doing without a parentheses. Okay, 4 applies on negative and 3 both. So negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Still the same thing. And negative 3. Since this is even number, my answer is supposed to be positive. And when you multiply 3 4 times, it's 81. 7 applies on 2, not on negative. Negative stays 2 times, 2 times, 2 times, 2 times, 2 times. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Close. And my answer is negative 128. You know 7 is odd number, so it has to be negative. 6 is even, so my answer is supposed to be, I'm going to write my answer here. My answer is supposed to be positive, but let's try. And 6 applies on parentheses, which means negative and 2 both has to the power 6. So it's going to give me negative 2 times 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 negative. I think they are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 is even. The answer is positive. I already said that. Positive. Multiply 2 6 times. It's going to give me 64. So that's my answer for this. Now, if you guys have any questions and you still don't understand, I will give you more examples and I'll post a video and I will go really slow and so you can understand everything. Please like my lessons. Also subscribe if you are new to the channel. Thank you so much.